Look at them reckless and instructive.
Oh yeah, I'm surrounded by the three W's, yeah, that's my guy. Why I'm in the market, what I see inside. When it's time to exit, I don't fight the ride. He's in my process, profit in my mind. Surrounded by the three W's, like me align. Discipline, no weapon that money can buy. Charge don't lie, they just test your grind. Every loss a lesson, I'm refined by design. Early in the morning, chart still green. Coffee in my cup, discipline and play. Why I'm here, not for luck, but to master the wave. I ain't gambling, I'm studying the candles they made. Every week, tell a story, every line got a soul. Patience the price for the dreams that I hold. They chase green, I chase control. Yep, small things big, let the plan unfold. What's my entry when the market in rhythm? Emotions gone silent, that's how I listen. Focus on price, not the noise or the hype. Patience the profit, discipline the light. When they exit, it's the art of release. Not greed or fear, just profit and peace. Win or lose, I ain't breaking my code. Cause the three W's the map to the road I chose. Surrounded by the three W's, yeah, that's my guy. Why I move with purpose, what keep me aligned. When I close the trade, I ain't mad at the signs. Cause I'm grateful for the lesson every single time.
Surrounded by the three W's, yeah, that's my guy. Why I move with purpose, what keeps me alive. When I close the trade, I ain't mad at the signs. Cause I'm grateful for the lesson every single time. Surrounded by the three W's, yeah, that's my guy. Why I move with purpose, what keeps me alive. When I close the trade, I ain't mad at the signs. Cause I'm grateful for the lesson every single time. Surrounded by the three.
All right, so we got ourselves an interesting little situation here. Um, Market's down for futures. Now, let me be completely frank. I don't know if it's going to affect options per se, but it's probably going to be mostly futures, which also drives the options. So I'm pretty confused. So I don't think it's probably the best day to trade today. At least watch and make sure that the market climate is something normal for us to be able to handle. So that said, I'm just going to be doing some charting. If you don't mind joining me along the way as I go ahead and run through the rest of my alert system and just see how the results are, because I have to get this done in the next few days and the weekend, so might as well stay productive. If you haven't hit the like, subscribe, with the bell button, this is probably a really good time for you to do so. That way it can let the algorithm know I bring in some good content. Also, look down below, I have a Black Friday special, $27 per month for access to Compound Central Alert, which is one of my more robust alert systems. It has two different strategy structures. One is Pac-Man, one is Nemesis Pinky, and they are really cool signals. Of course, not all signals are 100%. You still have to do some due diligence, but at the very least, it will tell you where to look. All right, so that said, let's go ahead and just keep this going. What I got HUT. Let's look at HUT real quick and see what's going on over there. Now HUT, it was saying that it was a bit of a sell around November 7th. Let's see what happened here. It looked like it was in the middle of a sell-off, and you can kind of see we had some topping patterns here, especially coming over from October. So it kind of looks something like this, a little bit of a downtrend. And then looks like November 5th, we had a sell. So we try to chart out where it triggers, which is this one right here, saying us it's a good time to take an attempt at selling it right there. And yeah, it gave us like a $3 drop here. So this was a good trade. It even got to my TP after a pullback. So second entry was probably the best there. So let's go ahead and tag this and put this as a good trade. It hit all the way to TP2. Actually, you know what? Let me put TP1 because the alert did say get out by then, which was the 7th. So we're just going to go ahead and stay consistent and make sure everybody knows what actually happened there. So that was a good trade. If you have any questions that you want to ask me, go ahead and put it inside the chat. I can read the chat down below. Alright, let's see. Let's go ahead and forward that. This one was a win. I know I put all my wins inside of here. That way you can keep track of the success of trades. All right, let's see what else we got. We got Riley. Now, I know you're probably going to see some tickers that options is probably not the best of suited, but there's a purpose behind it. How do you have this charted out? Oh, I remember. So this one's a nice little rally to this upside, no pun intended, right? Rally financial. Massive push off to the downside, and it was given a little bit of a retracement, solid retracement. All you need is 2 candles for an upside. The alert system was basically saying get an entry right here. This is one that you want to do with shares versus options, because you can see how cheap this is. So for $4.95, you're talking about 80 cents. If you had 100 shares, that's $80. If you had 1,000 shares, that's $800. If you bought it at this level here, it gave you a good 30% right there, and then right here was about a good almost 80%, give or take. So that is what we look for. So this one was a solid one. Let's go ahead and tag this as TP1 as well. Good win. There we go. And let's just send that over. Alright, so that was a really good win, Riley. Alright, so if you like doing shares, that's a good one right there. Alright, Marvell. Now this one is not shares. This one I would say it's just because of its price point. You might want to do options for this one. This is in the semiconductor space. And again, not all indicators or alert systems are 100%, but it does not mean that it doesn't give you opportunity. I'm going to explain what I mean right there. So if we look right here, this was a nice little push up right here. So they were looking for a takeoff to this level here, right? And if we look at it in its totality, it gave us an entry multiple times. Now, what I like to wait for, especially we're coming from such a big drawdown from that earnings, what I like to look for is a candle to close, or if the retracement happens, that it kind of gives you that pop right back up. So in this case, this gave a signal. If you were being aggressive, you probably would have been already in at this level, but at the end of the day, this thing was still kind of pushing up. You probably would have got out by here, and you can see a lot of profit taking happen until it gapped up there. So the closer you're to this price, the better. Maybe average, or you could just wait for the entry. It's just up to you. But this was a good trade to TP1. Let's go ahead and mark this off right over to TP1. All right, so that's good. And let's go ahead and see if the futures market turned back on by now. Let's take a peek real quick. NQ. Nope, still. Due to exchange related issues, we don't receive real-time data. The exchange is working to resolve the issue in the near term. So it's still data disconnected. So we'll just keep on keeping on reviewing previous trades and aligning. GIS, actually, you know what? I got a good friend of mine, SJ. He actually took this one from a different perspective. I think I was looking at sales, and the only reason was because the alert system said to sell, and you could see that we had a pop up right here. But this was coming from a major sell-off here, and they also liquidated some bulls here because they tried to push up, but they couldn't get up there. But we kind of formed this downtrend now. If you have been in my class, I explained there's deviations for downtrend. So that's one. That one would make two. And then this would make three. Those three deviations are tough. Right about, get there. There we go. Right? That third deviation, they would have to hold that trend line, or at the very least hold this one. That did not happen. But what did the signal tell us? It told us that this candle did a massive sell-off as they're trying to liquidate all the bulls that's there. We did kind of trigger this and also hit TP1. So at the very least, you probably could have waited for it to kind of give you a close below. Did not happen until here. And that was your close below with a retracement, and that's your close below if you want to do a little bit of an average. But you would have to wait for that pullback, and then it finally hit TP1. So this one kind of relatively sucked for the most part, especially this is General Mills. It's known for being more of a dividend play than a trade play. So there was most of the move already taken. So the real play was on this bumper run as they liquidated bears now twice. So that was a loss. So let's go ahead and forward this over. And we will consider, actually it did hit TP1 before it actually did that, but you know what, let me go ahead and put it as a W because we did hit TP1. Since we hit TP1, let's mark this off. TP1 was hit, good win. And most tickers, this one probably was going to be a little tricky. Most tickers, it should generate you at the very least 20%. Just depends on the option contract. But with this one, it's probably going to be more so of a shares play. So if you had 100 shares of this, that would have been roughly about 0.5%, give or take. Just to kind of keep that in mind. All right, let's see what else we got. Go to the trade execution, Teradyne, GHS, and FL. All right, so let's go with Teradyne. We'll do a few more, and then we'll go check out if they turn at 8:15. We'll go check if they turn on NQ, if they finally got their servers going. All right, so this one's Teradyne. Teradyne was finally closing up theirs for a sell, and that was because of this parameter here. But before it did that, it did offer TO. All right, folks, just a little reminder. If you get to 80 to 90% of TP2, take the money, especially if it starts to reverse, or at least put your stop loss a little bit into the money so that way you can avoid that. This was about a about a $9 move to the upside, and you're more worried about the last dollar, and you're just giving all that profit away. Do not fall for that trap. This one is one of those tricky ones. I think they're in energy, electronic production, right? So you can kind of see uptrend is continuing. We were looking for it to continue, but it kind of had a little bit of a blow off top. Psychological level of 190 is probably what affected it, especially coming in at 175. Hold on. Oh, okay, I see. It's basically exited at this 175. So don't let it come all the way back. You got in at 183 based on the signal. Good close, maybe average. Continue to TP1. Just take the money. Just take the money. All right, so let's go ahead and mark this off. Forward to wins. And let's mark this as TP1. Alrighty. TP1. By the 3 All right, let's go ahead and keep this going. What else we got? GHRS. We were a little choppy, but let's see if they gave us an opportunity, especially this is more of a share play. Yeah, it did. We got ourselves about a 70 cents move to the upside, especially a cheaper contract like this. It did end up hitting TP2 after knocking us out, because that's where my stop loss would have been for the system, but the original stop loss, of course, is here. If you wanted to stick with this, I do suggest that you just go ahead and just put in a horizontal line, kind of like so, at the level. Get this line up right, and then just put an alert on that line, and that will let you know when it's there. So kind of like it told us here, got to close above, that would win your trade. Got in, take your money, set up the alert, and then every time it crosses, it'll let you know, but you want to close above. That's a close above, failed. That's a close above, straight to TP1. I'm sorry, TP2. So just keep, like, it's the give that can keep on giving, especially if we're sitting at a level of support and it looks like we were playing inside of range. For my share traders, this one was a 2 out of 3 banger right then and there. All right, so let's go ahead and mark this as TP1. That's our goal, because that happened before the alert system told you to get out, so that's still a good win. Let's go ahead and forward that over. Oh, it's 8:15. Let's go check out NQ, see if they actually turned that bad boy back on. All right, there we go. Let's see NQ. No, still out. This is crazy. Now, to kind of give you a little synopsis, the market was moving for a while, and I'm gonna go drop down to a 1-minute chart. Oops, I did 1-minute chart, and you'll see at 21:43. To kind of give you an example of what 21:43 is, that is 9:43. I want to say I got that right. At 9:43, all data disappeared, which is insane to hear. Like, that doesn't make any sense. So I don't know. You might not be able to trade anything, but the charts won't chart themselves. We gotta go ahead and keep this going. So let's keep this going. Next one was FI. Fiserv. Wait a minute. Not that Fiserv. Huh. Interesting. Hold on, let's see. Did they delist Fiserv? They might have delisted them. Hold on. They're not right here. And then I'm missing part of my screen. Okay, that's weird. Alright, let me reload my chart. This is acting a little silly. Bear with me. Let's fix that. Save and reload. Alright, that's all I was looking for. Watch list. And this would fall into my October list. Nope, not there. Not there. Yeah, they're delisted. There's some tickers that's getting delisted. I think Fiserv might have got delisted after. Now, once I move. Yeah, they got delisted. Wow. Bye bye Fiserv. All right, I'm gonna call Dad a day, even though it kind of gave us a trade signal middle of the day. Wowzers. Okay. Let me check again. It was NYSE. Maybe they went to the S&P? No. Yeah, they got delisted. Let's take a peek and find out. Oh, okay. So they changed their name. There we go. Bicep. All right, just a little bit of research and you'll be able to find what you're looking for. All right, so let's get to a 2-hour chart because this should be relatively close to what it was before. Oh God, island gap after island gap after island gap. Damn, this guy's dropped off of a cliff.
Trade, I ain't mad at the signs, cause I'm grateful for the lesson every single time.
Surrounded by the three W's, yeah, that's my guy. Why I'm moving purpose,
I gotta update my list anyways. Free cash flow, they do have free cash flow. Let's look annually. They do have free cash flow. Why are they dropping like that? Maybe their revenues. Let's look at the income statement. Revenues is growing annually. Net income is the okay, folks. Let's put this on the radar. Let's do a deeper dive on this one because this doesn't. It started since March 2025. They've been pushing this to the downside. But the funny thing about it, yeah, they did a spin 2018. So the funny thing about it is that we are all the way to 2018 numbers, right? It's at its bottom. That's what I can kind of say. Let's do something fun. Let's do something like, actually probably I want something that's more connected, less island gaps. I'm probably gonna have to go weekly. All right, so if you haven't been in my class before, I talk about trend lines and they're relatively important. And this is going to give you a lot of insight on what you should and should not do. So for every point, there has to be a lower, lower, lower high. But that point is the start. And then it has to make a higher low to make a higher high. Just like it has to make a lower high to make a lower low. So in this case, we got our point, made a low. That's our lower high. When we broke this area, that's our lower low. So we need to get back to that trend line, but they didn't let that happen. Here comes our deviations. That means this is our point. That means this is our point again, because that was our lower high here without crossing candles that made this lower low here. So we need a touch here. You see how this kind of, they were trying to break out of here. Buyers and sellers was fighting with here, fighting again, fighting again, fighting again, but we still made a lower low. That means they had no control here. So this is actually our deviation at this point. Now, let's go over to the daily and with that information. That's where this kind of comes into play. We're so far away that this deviation is creating that lower low because we were at 127. Yeah, they missed EPS, but it's not like they drastically missed EPS. Their guidance must have been complete and utter trash. But I would say this is probably the most discount that you're going to get out of a stock. We're talking about,
Look at them reckless and destructive.
75% discount. That's wild. So from this leg to this leg, let's put a fib, and I'm gonna point out something for y'all. You want retracements to come in, but you want them to make some sense. This thing has came in so deep that we're under the 786 ratio of this entire leg. And that's even counting the pandemic. So what does this scream out? That there's something fundamentally wrong with this company. If it builds a base, then I could probably take this serious. But you could kind of see this was our first shot at it. Right, so we got that and that. So this was our entry. That's our TP1, and then it broke down. So now we got a couple of levels that is going to be probably very interesting on this one, which is, and I'm probably going to have to put this deeper into my radar. $50, 55. Mark these right. And then right now we're sitting on top of 60. They're trying to figure out if they're going to break this down. I'm going to set an alert here because I'm curious on what will happen. Let's see what happens. I want to see if price crosses this back up here. If it does, then I can attack this gap, and that probably take us to TP2 and attack that gap. So to $70. Again, those financials, I might have to do a longer term leap on that one. They're already writing the articles.
Look at them reckless and destructive.
Pfizer an $8 billion revolving credit facility, which can draw down from what's needed. So that doesn't mean they have debt yet. Facility matures in 2020, and $6 billion in credit agreement. As of now, no funds has been drawn. Finance drawdown. Earnings missed in October. Stock fell 44%. Yep. They got a new CEO, Mike Lyons, attributed poor results, overly executive guidance, short-term decisions, her customer relationship. The company also announced significant leadership changes. Okay, so there's gonna be a new CEO. Hopefully, we get somebody strong there. That's what I said earlier. The guidance. That's the issue. Is the guidance. A stock drop, he raised billions in market value, which it did. While some of them, yeah, but nah. Until the management, listen, don't panic and feel like the buy the dip has to be like every dip. If you want to nibble, let's just say you did one share because you have like $60,000 in your account, and you just want to see what happens with it. No problem. 2 shares, 3 shares, max maybe 10. You know what I'm saying? Because that would be $600, right? Because I think if this is going to take a little bit longer and the guidance is still trash, you're probably going to go ahead and get Pfizer to like $55 before it starts to bounce. And if that is the case, then you could get better prices. Then you could buy another 10, and then so on and so on, and get a good dollar cost average. But to just jump right into it right now is probably not the best bet, especially that it kind of looks like a bear flag right here, and we don't want those smoke. But for the alert system that kind of gave us this TP1, good solid $2 move, which is like 2 deviations into the money. This is what we want to see. Let's go ahead and put this to the side again, and we're going to go ahead and mark this off as a good win. This was a TP1, and then we're going to go ahead and send this over to the Discord. Okay, what did I just do? I just did something that just changed up my chart.
Look at them reckless and destructive.
Okay. Reload. I have no idea what I just pressed. That's probably what happened earlier. All right. Get that back again. All right. Fix that. I think I probably hit that full Shift F. Okay, that's probably what I did. And I was trying to take a picture. All right, so that's Fiserv. Oh, but it took it until the 12th. Okay, so we're not even taking that. But at least I marked it off. That is interesting. That one's a trade. That's Charter's trade. Yuami. This one is an ETF. I normally don't keep a lot of ETFs in itself. Well, actually, no, it's not an ETF. I think I might be confusing. Oh, I think NQ is activated. Let's go. Let's go see. Yep, data's in. It's doing something with the prices. Let me go. Let. Let's get ourselves back over here. And what we're going to do, let's expand and see what NQ would do with some type of action like this. It's funny that they finally got it up at 8:30. Now, something like GC is going to look crazy because I think the Forex market was still operating. Oh, this is still not on. This is NASDAQ only. What the hell? Yeah, it's only NASDAQ. Let me see if oil. Yeah, don't trade yet until this thing gets back to normal. Hey, good morning. Welcome. Oh my God, this is very weird. So oil is working, but why not gold? Why is gold not working? Happy Friday. Yeah, well, I would say be careful because the outage from last night, I don't know if we're at 100%. The last thing I want you to do is get inside of a trade and be stuck inside of a trade because it gets shut down again. So just be very cautious. Don't risk something that you don't want to lose. Yeah, it's only NQ. Wait, it's only NQ that was moving. Okay, it's moving again. I got timers and everything here, but for gold, it still says it's frozen from last night at 21.48. Let me see what else is working. Is silver working? Okay, so maybe the commodities is not ready yet. RTY, that's the Russell. So Russell is active. ZB for the bonds. Let's see if that's working. Nope, bonds not working. Oh no, bonds is working because bonds is a very slow mover. So I got a timer here. For those that trade bonds. Try to think of commodities. So I mean, platinum might not be working. Platinum is working. So why are you not working gold? Ah, there we go. Now it's working. Gold is working. Gold is back at it again. All right, let's see if we can see anything in the charts. And then we'll probably plan for like 9:30 because I know we're probably going to get an influx of people jumping into the market when the New York session starts. All right, let's go with a 4-hour chart because this is the one that really. Okay, how come yeah, it's not 100%. You see that? Still having data issues because my 4-hour is not operating, but my daily is. But when I go to NQ, 4-hour works. and 1 minute works.
Look at them reckless and destructive.
Oh, it says not real time. Oh shit! If it ain't real time, I don't want it. I don't need these problems, and I don't know where setting myself on the okie doke. So that's, CME is responsible for some options too. Hold on, let me see which. I don't think they would be responsible for NYSE because I think they won't be responsible for NASDAQ. I think they have their own, but I wonder if NYSE, CME option. Let me see who is in there. Yeah, it looks like it's only the futures. Yeah, it's only the futures. I think we'll be fine. I think it's probably best for us to ignore futures today, unless you're gonna trade Bitcoin through Coinbase, and you could do Bitcoin futures. That's not affected by CME. What's another one that won't be affected? Forex won't be affected, so you could go with nasty Nas 100 through the Forex market, and just stock options. I don't think there's anything else. Just let them figure out what's going to happen, because until this exclamation mark is out, I won't have confidence that what I click in. You might get some spread that is so, like right now the spread is $1.50 or 6 points. Now 9. Yeah, this spread again. It's early morning session, so this is the trickier part of it. So our spreads are usually wide, but I don't know if it ever gets to like almost $4. Yeah, let's be patient. Let's run through some options and things that we're probably gonna see. I could update this later. That stopped here. All right, let's go check out my green list. The green list has, on this month, I was looking at overvalued and undervalued, and whether they've already attempted to make a move or not. So let's talk about some things that are overvalued. Now, overvalued, that means it's probably like a PE over 25, maybe 26. So let's take AMD for example. Let's come up to a daily. That thing still looks like they're trying to build a base right here. Even though right here looks like it wants to kind of like sell off, and we got past this to fill the rest of the gap, but we can't close inside. Oh, no, we didn't close inside the gap. So we had one attempt, that thing pushed right back up, and that was the other attempt, but that one pushed it green. So I think AMD could give another leg higher. I don't know if it means higher highs, but another leg higher from its current point, maybe even 240, 250, and probably has trouble getting through 260 to hit to 270. So that's what that kind of looks like there. But that's only if everything kind of follows suit. You can kind of see what the pre-market's already doing that. Maybe New York session opens up and then they gotta go ahead and melt it down, so that way they can fill this gap. That could be the case too. So just keep yourself very liquid. All right, Carvana. A little mad about that one. I was inside of that trying to play the 2 to 350. I had contracts that expired today, and I probably could have held those things. But yeah, can't cry over spilled takes, right? Good solid move to the upside. I think they want to try to get all-time highs again, which is right here. But you can kind of see with this downward trend, we got one deviation here, and then this is the move that we are concerning ourselves with because they broke through it, and this could give you a continuation. That's why this day was a little rough around the edges. We'll see. Let's talk about something where it's overvalued, but it has yet to try to do any pullback. Like this was overvalued, and this is their attempt at a pullback. It looks like it's already tired. This one relatively overvalued, but you already know how Tesla, it's more of a cult following than anything else. We're going to ignore that. Let's go with AVGO. Ooh, they are liquidating the bulls over there. I think they want that 400 level. Let's mark that off. I think that's what they want. It is all-time highs. Just to let you know.
Look at them reckless and destructive.
Alright, let's get rid of you for right now. That is a strong fair value gap right there. If we could get a nice little break above that 400, it'll continue, probably test into the 450, but right now we're on top of an island gap. Earnings is coming. RSI looks like this. Let's see what the stochastic looks like. And since SJ tapped in, let's see what the KC says. Yeah, that's kind of high. Now, can it pin up? Absolutely. That Stoke is already telling that it's a little exhausted, but this thing can just freeze and hold the price up here like that. So that's going to be very interesting. All right, and then let's give one more. Amazon, another one that's overvalued, and it kind of pushed down. The Kepler channel is at the bottom of it, so that's probably why it's bouncing. Let's take these out. Kind of ugly W, but it's like this trend line is kind of giving the falling wedge action. That's that. And then when we gave that extension, they didn't let the extension breathe. Came right into the center out here. If we can't hold 230, this thing will retest 219. So just keep that in mind. It did signal a daily short that kind of looks like this, but it already touched TP1, so we'll see how that holds up. And then I got undervalued, delayed, UAL. I think it's starting to take off, no pun intended. Looks like a W, looks like it could continue. Got a bullish divergence on the daily, hence the reason why it's moving up in the first place. If we could take out this order block, if you've been in my class, I call this jambalaya rice order block. Got some greens, got some reds, got some big candles, got some short candles. Is this an area where there is going to be some type of reaction to price? Actually, I'll probably put it right here, right? And what I would love to see is this thing attempt to fill the block. We need to hold 100. If we can hold 100, then we'll fill the block, and then fill the block, we'll fill the W, and the W would extend. So we'll see if that happens. And then Adobe, this thing has been beat up for quite a while. It kind of looks like Fiserv as far as where it dropped off from. Let me go ahead and monthly, you'll see it a little bit better like that. Massive move down, but they still got good customer base, right? So don't count them out. Just keep this in your radar. Undervalued and has already initiated its move. I think this one already triggered one step of that. Shout out to SJ. I think he took a little bit on GS to the upside. Looking for this thing to kind of come up to here and start taking out some of these pivots. That would be choice. And then one more, and I'm gonna grab myself something to drink. Let's go with UPS. You can kind of see with UPS, this thing has been on a decline. It's got to at least test some of these pressures, and we'll see how that goes. So look at this little island gap here. If it doesn't fill this gap, that could be your catalyst. You'll probably put your stop loss inside of the gap, but they're trying to fill the rest of this gap, which is 104, and then they're going to try to reverse this whole entire thing. So just look for that to kind of give you that nice little push up. Let me see what the weekly has. Weekly could be tired, but the monthly is a different story. Yeah, so I would say UPS, good time. What a do, Rod? Man, I hope he wasn't in a gold trade during that thing breaking down. I would be pissed. But yeah, I would say this base would be really, really solid to the market, so that way it could go ahead and give it a nice little push up. All right, for those that are here, like I said, if you're watching this video, don't forget to click the link down below. Black Friday special, get $27 for life on Compound Alerts, which is Compound Central Command. And look for hey Christy, how you doing? How you doing? Good morning, good morning. You know, and the game plan is to just make sure that you have more than a great way for you to build on your wealth going forward. But that said, look at UPS. I'm telling you, this thing looks like, especially that engulfing on the monthly, we got one last day into the market, so we'll see how that goes. All right, let me grab something to drink. I'll be right back in like 2 seconds. Just bear with me. See you in a little bit.
What's my entry when the market in rhythm? Emotions gone silent, that's how I listen. Focus on price, not the noise or the hype. Variations of profit, discipline the light. When they exit, it's the art of release. Not greed or fear, just profit and peace. Win or lose, I ain't breaking my code, cause the 3 does use the map to the road I chose. Surrounded by the 3 W's, yeah, that's my guide. Why I move with purpose, what keep me aligned. When I close the trade, I ain't mad at the signs, cause I'm grateful for the lesson every single time.
Surrounded by the 3 W's, yeah, that's my guide. Why I move with purpose, what keeps me alive. When I close the trade, I ain't mad at the signs, cause I'm grateful for the lesson every single time. Surrounded by the 3 W's, yeah, that's my guide. Why I move with purpose, what keeps me alive. When I close the trade, I ain't mad at the signs, cause I'm grateful for the lesson every single time. Surrounded by the 3.
All right, let's get back to it. We got so much to cover. There's so many tickers. All right, so let's get into some more. I am a big proponent that if you're going to go ahead and look at any tickers, especially from an investment standpoint, that at the end of the day you want something with a positive EPS. That way it doesn't actually screw you up or trip you up. Not saying that you can't find some diamonds in the rough. Like for years, SoFi had negative EPS. I had my doubts. I had my success. Could have did better on that one, but unfortunately, I only made what I made, and I'm happy with it because I'm still growing as a trader. But now they're at positive EPS. Sometimes you got to stomach these negative EPS. So right now in this trading journey, I look for things that are there, and how I kind of look for things inside my screener is I look for not crash valuation, let's switch that up, free cash flow and EPS. So this is something that I kind of look over every so often. You can kind of see some of them are already falling into some of my watch lists. I got some of my greens, some of my yellows, some of my red, and you can kind of see that right there. Like NVIDIA, for example. NVIDIA is a strong buy for obvious reasons, right? Because when you're looking at NVIDIA, you're talking about a company that has not only strong EPS, let's grab these financials, right? their revenue growth is growing year over year. It's growing quarter over quarter. I know there are some speculations that I won't say fudge the books, but they're trading so much money amongst each other, and it's kind of like doing velocity of money. And I have my speculations to that, but this chart is just way too vertical for you to ignore. And then when I'm talking about earnings, we're talking about positive EPS. This is what they're forecasting for their EPS, which is basically up to about $2 per share on each quarter. And that's what you want to kind of see. You want to see a company that's returning money to shareholders through the earnings. That's the bottom line. And you want to see them grow in revenue. And that's what this screener kind of does. And if we look at this, right, that revenue is just growing. You get something like that, it gives confidence to shareholders and others. Now, why are we pulling back like this? I think it's just regular profit taking, right? We got up to 200. Let's just call it psychological 200, right? And right now they're looking for people to think that, is this a deep enough discount, or is this a deep enough discount to continue to make higher highs, which we already know how Nvidia kind of moves, especially after their last split. Let's take a peek here, right? Psychological 100. That was a nice little setup that was right there. And what ended up happening? Got our split, got our pullback, built a base off that psychological level. What was to once resistance turns into support. And you can kind of see they tested it a couple more times. And this is that springboard, especially all you have to do is just have a little trump that goes and tell you, we're going to put tariffs, right? So, earnings per share. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, earnings per share is the most important metric for those that kind of invest into stocks. So let me explain. So, like for example, when I was saying with SoFi, right? When this thing was dropping off of a cliff, they had negative EPS. It was 5 cents, right? But either way, it was a negative EPS no matter how you look at it. Their revenue was growing, right? And well, growing from here to here, right? And you could kind of see it kept on growing. EPS was still negative. So think of it like this. They're bringing in more customers. That's where the revenue comes into play. But when it comes down to managing the money, which is off the revenue, they're spending more than they're making, so that way there's a profit at the bottom line. So whenever you hear top and bottom line, yeah, the top line is your revenue, the bottom line is the earnings per share. Oh, no, don't worry. Listen, when you start making a certain amount of cash and you're ready to invest, these are the things that you're going to end up looking to later on. But don't even stress that. So now, when we're going over to NVIDIA, I want to see strong companies, and that's why I want to kind of trade, because I think that has the most volume. And you can kind of see, we have ourselves a little bit of a downturn. Actually, let us play around with something real quick. Here is the Keltner channel right there. And we could kind of see we're getting a little bit of a bounce off of this level. The question is, with this earnings being way simple, yes, they found an extra $2 billion in revenue, but the growth is not as much of a multiplier as it was before. That was like 4% there, that was 8% there, 5% there, 12% over here. What was this one? 18%. So they're asking the question, are they done with their growth? Is it starting to get toppy? So that's why I think this is part of the pullback. If people feel like the valuation is sound, we should bounce off of this level, which is previous resistance. If not, we're probably going to have a little bit of a struggle. Another way of looking at this, I love my trend lines, and that is right here. You can kind of see we got our 2 points right here. Come on, get there, right? And then we got ourselves a nice little deviation that created right here. Well, this little candle right here that started from Tuesday is giving us a little bit of upside. So I'm very curious on what they want to do with 180. You can see struggling with 180, struggling with 200. Let's see if we can find a level that makes sense. All right, we got 6 minutes until 9 o'clock. That's when we'll take our next Little bit of a breather. Let's see, you got Amazon in here, AVGO, ASML. This is another semiconductor. I think they're in the semiconductor space. Yeah, there's another one that's in the semiconductor space. It's a little pricier, but I believe they provide supplies for some of the major semiconductors like your AMDs and NVIDIA. Palantir, now this one I have a lot of question marks on because they're one that doesn't have crazy EPS, but they generate revenue because they get government contracts, and technically they got to keep on, you know, innovating so they can keep those government contracts. So I think that's why we get a lot of movement out of Palantir. Looking at where it is after hitting that 200, I need that order block to hold right about here. 1, 2, 3, something like that. If this doesn't hold, we can really have some issues. MS and coin. Okay, I got you. I'll pull that up in a little bit. Good morning.
Why are you talking a lot?
You're funny. I don't know. Give me a second. Let me finish my recording. Go get your breakfast. Go make sure your brother's all right.
Hello, Diamond Group.
You just had to just chime in, huh?
Yes, I did.
That's the little one. All right, but yeah, so if it can hold this order block, and you can see the market's already responding to that. Stochastic is already pointing up. Let's just say you don't use stochastic. Maybe you use MACD. Let's go ahead and pull a MACD. MACD is in the bear side, but you can kind of see we get light pink here, getting a little bit of a curl there. So we're going to see if it can build that base and hold. You might get some consolidation of the MACD, but if we can get some momentum there, that would be great. As I say, you use RSI. Let's get that. Oh, we're already getting a little bit of a cross under the 50. All you need is a cross of that 50 and it'll drag everything up. Let's just say you use EMAs. Let me go ahead and put the 3 EMAs. Where are you? I got my 9 EMA. I want the 3 EMA. Okay. Maybe they got rid of the original one that I use. Alright. Oh no, that's not it. They got rid of my EMA thing. It was a custom one. 3 EMA. And it's not there no more. That is interesting. Alright, let me bring this one on. And I'll just added that one. No, not that. Alright, let's turn some of these off. Bing, bing, bing. Those are built on Fibonacci. Shout out to Jason. He's the one that gave me that one years ago. What are you looking at the screen? And this is it. Yeah, so my screener is EPS, free cash flow. I want revenues. I want EBITDA at a certain level. The price to the free cash flow, and just basically average volume. Like this is the most important one. Coin still pushing. All right, we'll check out coin. So you can kind of see this is giving us a little bit of a nice little curl here, trying to give us a nice little push. This thing crosses back 175. I think we're going to go ahead and get Palantir back up to the upside using this as support. Good morning, good morning, good morning. All right, let's go ahead and check out first MS because I think he brought up Morgan Stanley financials. Listen, banks are not going anywhere. Citi is another good one. BOA is another, no, BAC is another one. I'm putting their acronym instead of their ticker. And then, of course, Wells Fargo. But let's go ahead and look at Morgan Stanley. Goldman Sachs is another one. All of them are like running together right now. It's freaking crazy. And we could kind of see here. Yeah, we're already up pre-market. It looks like about $1. So they're going to go ahead and try to see if they can get up into that upper register to take out new highs. So that's going to be very interesting to see. Now, they have broken quite a bit of areas. Actually, let's take this one here, right? And that gap up, this is the support that I'm looking for. Anything above 166.94, 167 should be a good little entry. So if we do pull back, look for that as a support. And as long as it reverses from there, we might get ourselves a continuation. But it looks like it already ran away. Oh, look at that MACD. Above the bullish line, yeah, it might be already ran away. Just a little FYI. Above the 0 line, crossing up. Good cross. This thing looks like it's going to go ahead and continue to the upside. I'm looking for this thing to get past 170. All right. Let's see. What do we have? Oh, coin. That's the other one. All right. Looks like it's already up $9. It got a bit of a reversal off the block. I would say as long as we hold here, we should be fine. Yeah, because that's where that gap is here. Oh, that's a really, really good rejection as they attempted to get into the gap, and we kind of did a 2 candle, boom, boom. And we just need a cross of this MACD for that continuation. Look for it to fill this fair value gap. That would be probably my target if you're already inside of the trade. If you're not inside of the trade, maybe wait for a pullback because this thing is going to gap up when the market starts, and they're probably going to hit that fair value gap and then give you that pullback. Oh, what time frame on Palantir? I didn't see that. Hold on. Let me go back to Palantir. I did not see. Maybe a 30-minute? No, that's already initiated. 2 hour? Possibly. 1 hour. 1 hour, yeah. 1 hour has it. That's probably which one you're talking about. And that's a strong little move too, because we tried to fill the fair value gap. We closed inside of it, so I think they just came back to pick up new friends. Whenever you get the fair value gap inside, especially like a 1 hour one, those are those higher time frames. Yep, I had a feeling. They just came for the 50%. Now they're looking for new friends. That's why we're gapping up. Whatever bearish momentum that was in here, it was just to kind of trap the liquidity, because they should have never let this happen by closing inside the block. And perfect example of that, this was them trying to close inside of there, couldn't get there by here. And then this one right here, they did not close in here, so what did it do? It had to find a base, and then that was your close in here to create that movement there. So whenever I'm looking at fair value gap, I got you. I got a whole plan, because I got a whole album to kind of give you a little background. I'm working on an album that also includes some mindset, so that way you have access to something that can keep you going throughout the middle of the week. So look forward to that, and this is going to be the first single from it, right? So that's the game plan. So just be patient. I got a whole entire, yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be more of an asset than just a pure album. We'll talk in detail when it's all said and done. But yeah, so if we look at this Palantir, like right now, they try to close outside of it, but they've already crossed EMAs. I think I would have wanted it to touch this. What's that, the 48? That probably would have been a better price, because that fair value gap could have did something very disrespectful if they wanted to then grab liquidity, because we're kind of like inside of this trend. But the failure is they let that 1 hour close here, so that makes it very interesting. So might have had like a smaller time frame that gave it that reversal. Oh, absolutely. The Trader's Anthem. Yes, thank you, I appreciate that. All right, what else we got? We got Shopify. Oh, I did say I was going to take a break at 9 o'clock, but I'm having too much fun. Shopify, this thing looks like it's running away right now. Let's get rid of this. Let's come over to the daily. Yeah, nice little base. We got a cross on the MACD. I don't have a fair value gap to aim for, but that daily, that's what it looks like. They're literally getting there. So today is going to be an extension of what's already there. Actually, you know what? That might be the play for today. Shopify right when the open happens. They might be trying to recapture a wick. Let me see if there's any pivots that can be targeted. Oh, we're already at it. Yep. If it doesn't hold 160.49, just be ready for a retracement. But it might retrace to the crosses to like 155. But if it holds that 160.69, then we're probably going to go ahead and fill some of these gaps here. And this is a perfect bump and run. First thing they did, gapped it, came back, retest, and then took it over. Oh my God, this is amazing. I like this one. I want to see what they do. Actually, I'll put an alert here. Not here. We'll put one here. And then we'll put an alert over here. No, let's call it here. That's my guide. Alright, so that's that one, and then that one. I want to see what happens with those two prices. What else I have in this screener? App Lovin' has been going all types of craziness. I'm gonna leave that alone for now. ServiceNow, ANet, Arista Networks. It's building a base, but I'm a little mad at this one because I didn't think we'll go this deep. I was playing it to hold this 136 level because I didn't think we are gonna get a full M. But assuming that the M is over, so we're taking the shorter side. That'll be here. And then that's our extension. We got majority of that M pattern already complete. They're trying to see how far they want to take it up from here, but they got to get past this area here, which they kind of are affecting, but it's not a guarantee that they're going to take all this out. I got an order block that's going to be very annoying, which is probably going to be from here to here. And that's why I'm going to see what they do with that. That's another decent one. AMT. Carvana already went over. Let's see some of them ones that's not in my green list. Let's take a peek. Lily, I'm a little upset at that one because I kind of felt like it could have pushed up, but I was like, no, it's 1,000 and we've already tried the 1,000 mark. It's not gonna make it. And you can kind of see that psychological level of 1,000. Let's look at the price action so you can see what that looks like. Wrong one. Let's get rid of you. And you can kind of see rejected it here. This was that rejection before. I thought they were gonna just tap it and then that was all they were gonna get, but they were like, nope, we're not gonna only tap it, we're gonna break above it, we're gonna retest, and we're gonna just fly to the top. And right now it's $100 more past that level. You're talking about $1,100 at the pre-market after its peak at 1104. So very interesting ticker. I know it's a little pricier, but if you do it with spreads, you probably could be able to play that one. Netflix, after it's split, right? This one's one that's a little bit more affordable now. We don't have to go ahead and fight with that market anymore. Looking at this one, it's trying to build a base. I got a 2 candle here. And let's look at that micro trend that's trying to beat this major trend. Let's see what happens here. So we got that. And not that time. I'm gonna go get the cereal for the kitties, and we'll get back to it again for 9:30 kicks off. We'll probably wrap it then, and we'll see what the futures is doing. Yeah, something like that. And now we got ourselves an internal structure that's having a fist fight right now, and that internal structure is fighting with here. And then that's our micro trend. So yeah, I would say if we can get past this level here, 113, this thing is gonna fly to the upside. First thing I'm gonna take out is this gap that happened right here after the earnings. Did they miss? Yes, they did, but they only missed 15%. $11 billion in revenue. This thing's starting to look like it's put in a bullish divergence. All we missing is a curl up. So yeah, this thing looks really good to try to go to that upside. But what I am afraid of is that it was a 10-to-1, which was a little bit more than I expected for a split. And the last company that tried to do a major split like that was CMG. They did a 50-to-1. Maybe it was just too much. They did a 50-to-1, and they have not looked the same ever since. This chart looks disturbingly disgusting from a monthly standpoint. So I'm very curious Are we gonna get an order block like this is what Netflix really wants, and then they bait some of the more recent bulls? So where would that order block be? I don't think it'll come down this low. This is like 2022 levels, but I could see this coming down to here if that's the case. But we got ourselves a nice little solid order block right in here. What is that order block? This is the Trump tariffs talk. So let's go ahead and mark this off. So something like 97, psychological 100, you know, maybe something like that. That would be great. And then that probably give us a nice little pullback for a longer term investment and really put some pressure on any bears that's in the way. All right, let me go get the kitty some cereal. And I am going to be right back. Bear with me.
What keep me aligned? When I close the trade, I ain't mad at the signs, cause I'm grateful for the lesson every single time.
Surrounded by the three W's, yeah, that's my guy. Why I move with purpose, what keeps me alive.
Actually, before I run out of here, do y'all want to hear the remix? Cause I got a remix for this song. If y'all put in the chat, I want to hear the remix, I'll play the remix. And it's not what y'all think it is. Not from our lesson in mindset. Would y'all like a remix?
Look at them reckless and destructive.
Oh yeah. I'm surrounded by the three W's, yeah, that's my guy. Why I'm in the market, what I see inside. When it's time to exit, I don't fight the ride. He's in my process, profit in my mind. Surrounded by the three W's, why me aligned? Discipline, no weapon that money can buy.
All right. So people say they want to hear the remix. All right. So now I want to just preface this a little bit. At the end of the day, I want y'all to enjoy. Just remember the message. Be patient. Do not just run into every trade. That's what 3W is all about. So without further ado, here's the remix. Hold on. Listen, I do not want y'all pulling over your cars and start booty shaking all over the place. I want y'all to just listen to the music. Do not cause no accidents. All right, folks? All right, going back.
Still great, coffee in my cup, discipline and play. Why I'm here, not for luck, but to master the way. I ain't gambling, I'm studying the candles they made. Every win tell a story, every line got a soul. Patience the price for the dreams that I hold. They chase green, I chase control. Risk small, think big, let the plan unfold. Was my entry when the market in rhythm? Emotions gone silent till I listen. Focus on praise, not the noise or the hype. Patience, the profit, discipline in the life. When the exit is the art of
All right, I'm back. All right, let's see what NQ is doing right now. All right, it's putting a little bit of a topping tail right now on the 2 hour. 45 minutes look interesting. The crazy part about it is, like, what are we going to do with the data in between? Like, it's literally jumping from here to here, and this was there. I guess we got to treat it like a gap. There's got to be some type of imbalance here, right? Especially this consolidation that happened all throughout Thanksgiving. Very interesting. All right, let's see if we can find some other tickers here. Actually, let me sort it by price. Let's do it something that's a little bit more effective. CCJ. I have not looked at this in a while. And this is energy. They got dividends that's paying out. It looks like it's at its bottom, especially with this order block here. Listen every single time. All right. I would like a nice little pullback coming back in, but I think it might be already running away. The best spot was that breakthrough here, kind of giving us a star here so they can reverse it. I want to see it close above $90 at psychological level just to be on the safe side, but this MACD is crossing up, so that could give us a nice little opportunity here. I like this one. Dutch Bros. I haven't touched that in a while too. Let's see what Bros is. Wonder if y'all trade this one. Oh, look at that W right there. That looks like a W. Especially we're starting to look like we're going to cross over. I would be targeting with this W that fair value gap right there. And then this fair value gap right here is the one that's going to trigger everything. Oh, yeah, cause so I'm very I look for trend lines, like it's almost the same thing as the EMA, so you don't really have to do that. So think of it like this, and this is one trend, and you can kind of see markets tend to come like this, and then they go right back to a trend again, right? But smart money tends to come in first, and that's kind of like your narrow state if you really think about it, because they're like, here's the opportunity. They know they can sweep some liquidity in this, and that's why this kind of made that move. So when I do the second one, that's a second deviation, or this would be like your second EMA in a case, right? And that's the level that it came to. Each time it kept on making a lower low, lower low, lower low, and what did it do? It couldn't hold that lower low anymore, and that's when we kind of consolidated this way. So that's the purpose of that. But if you're already using EMAs, it doesn't benefit you to do that unless you like using what I consider, like, EMAs are dynamic trend lines, and then you got I use static trend lines. I aim for targets at levels because when they break through, it usually just breaks through with some strength. But it's just a preference thing. And then we got this uptrend. This is your micro trend that came to beat that major trend because this was the major trend, but it was too vertical. So eventually it had to give up something. And plus we're coming to order blocks. You got this right here. This was a bounce area before, and that's what kind of created that. So people started losing confidence that we'll break through this level. And you can see they started building a position. Probably some profit taking happened here. And then when we notice we can't make any lower lows, that's when you make your W's. So always remember, W's are a result of failed H's. So when price is going down like this, you want it to kind of do like this. That's your H, and then it continues. That's your downtrend, right? So when the H fails, it does like this, but it can't break that area to create more downtrend. Then it stops, and since no one else can stop it here to make some type of consolidation like this, it turns around. Come on, behave, right? It turns around and it does something like a W, where this is your higher low for the start of a new trend, and you just draw a trend line, and that's your guidance to let you go up. So that's what we're facing right there. So that's why when I draw my trend lines, I'm looking for what area would they pivot off again, and you can kind of see they pivot off of here, made that new angle, and then they pivot off to here, but they didn't make a lower low. So that means this trend line is more than likely destroyed at this point. And now we're trying to rely on this one because that was the original trend. Let me put the EMAs so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. I'm probably going to need a higher one. What he said, I'm trying to remember his, but you know what? I'm going to put a 100 EMA just for the case of this argument. I don't know what's his other EMA. Yeah, so you could kind of see. Oh yeah, well, probably gonna wrap up in like another 3 minutes. That way I could get back to the regular schedule program. But yeah, so this, just like how this kind of shows you, like we got into a narrow right here. Why? Because when these EMAs, this downward high smaller EMAs was coming to a higher EMA, and they can't use the EMA as support. And what did it do? It started breaking down. So this is your pivot point that happened right here to continue to the downside and going from a narrow state to a wide state. And you can see we opened up the mouth even wider. But then when it started to curl, that was your first hitch. Second hitch, they could not get any control. So, but it kind of gave you warning signs, and then that's your test of the pivot right there. And that's what I look for. But you can see they use that 100 as a rejection point. Why is that? Because the market was like, if this happens, then we should have a trend line that looks like this, but it needs to make a lower low. It failed. And now everybody that thought this was okay is running to get out, aka liquidity, and those that were in here are happy because they like, here comes our W. So don't worry about the double trend lines. If you're already using EMAs, it's relatively simple. Similar. All right, let me give y'all one more ticker and then we'll get out of here. I want to say thank you very much for timing in. And if you're watching this on a recording and you don't have an alert system, by all means, Black Friday special, link is down below. I can grab your access through there. Actually, let's talk about Google. Google with an L. This is the one that got away. $120. This was back in early 2025 and also in mid 2024. And when they did their split, it opened at $120. So this was a nasty little sweep that shook weaker hands, and I was a different trader then, and I had these shares. So looking at it being at 320 makes it a little bit annoying, but you can kind of see this is a nice little scoop to the upside, and it just kept on riding up. It's got dividends that is going to pay out, and the question is, is it going to hold these levels? Is it going to go back to like $1,000 a share? And that's the question that I'm really curious about, because it's very possible that they could get to $1,000 a share again, especially with all the stuff that they have. And now they partnered with Uber on Waymo, so that's going to make things very, very interesting. So look out for this one. Great EPS. It's a little bit high on the what's the doggone thing? As far as overvalued, it's high, but it's not high enough for me to be worried about. Their earnings last cycle was really, really good, and they're bringing $100 billion in revenue. That's what you want to see from a company. I like AppLovin too. That's another one. And when it moves really, really well. Shout out to Buster. Buster is the one that made me interested in this one. And I wonder if he still held it from back in the days, because this was a very cheaper ticker from when we were trading it back at $38, $100 or whatever. But yeah, they are a really, really good company. I think they are in their retracement mode, because we have multiple touches here on this downtrend. So I want to see what it does with that order block. It's trying its best to hold up. Yes. But now that we have our structure on how we want to be as traders, I can't wait to see what we look like a year and a half from now. It's gonna be insane. Well, let me not take up all of your time. I want to say thank you very much for chiming in with me for our watch party. NQ is moving, and it looks like it's back to normal. So futures is doing its job. Again, I would say just be a little cautious, because we don't know what they're planning to do. Do I feel conspiracy theory a little bit? I'm trying to put that hat down, but I'm just saying, we're in 2025. The server's going down. Shouldn't it be picked up like within hours? Where's your redundancy plan? Somebody's going to get fired. Who's your security provider? Is it Datadog? Is it PanW? Who do I short? Because something had to go wrong with CME over, I think they said in Dallas or something like that, their servers. So yeah, that's a very weird one. But anyways, let me let y'all go. I want to say thank you very much. Oh, I never took off the short break. I apologize for that. But yeah, we'll catch up on tomorrow. Tomorrow for Mindset, and then next week there'll be no morning shows. It'll just be only me trading. 1 week of morning shows, and I'm gonna get into the holidays. So I got the first week of December, and I'm just taking a break from that. So don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and the bell button. That way you know when I'm online. And I bid you a farewell. Have a great day. Bye-bye.